Okay, so almost done and actually getting to the actual steps of meiosis. So all sexual life cycles, meaning organisms that reproduce sexually, are going to involve an alternation between both the diploid state and the haploid state. Having haploid gametes, or gametes that have half the number of chromosomes, is used to prevent the chromosome number from doubling every single generation. Because if each of the gametes had the same number of cells as the parent organism, then basically, like, if an egg had 46 and a sperm had 46, then you'd end up with 92. And then the next generation, if they had 92 and 92, like a 92 in an egg and 92 in a sperm, then you'd have, like, triple the number of chromosomes or quadruple the number of chromosomes that you're supposed to have in a human, and that just wouldn't work. And that's the same for any organism that reproduces sexually. I know we talk a lot about humans in here, but in here being in biology class, because that's what people are interested in. But all organisms that reproduce sexually are like this. So your cats, your dogs, monkeys, literally anything that reproduces sexually is going to have this alternation where you have a stage like the adult, like us, where we have the diploid state in our cells, and then also a stage where it's going to be haploid, and that would be the gametes, where there's half. Otherwise, there'd be way too many chromosomes. And gametes are made by a special sort of cell division called meiosis, so the cousin to mitosis. Meiosis will only occur in reproductive organs, so it's only going to occur in cells found in the ovaries in females and in testes in males. So this slide is just an overall view of what's going on in meiosis. We're going to go really specifically into what the cell will look like in each of the steps of meiosis 1 and meiosis 2, but this is just an overall screen, like a screen grab almost of the overall process. And hopefully you can refer back to this picture if you end up getting stuck in some of the sticky details later on. So in this picture, only one pair of homologous chromosomes is tracked. It would be way too much drawing to do all 46, but I have done it, and I will be uploading those into OneNote for you to see. But in this picture, we're just looking at one pair of homologous chromosomes. So the red is showing you from mom, and the blue is showing you from dad. So let's say that this would be like... let's say this is like you, like this whole cell, that's you, right? And you got half of your DNA from your dad and half from your mom, right? So hopefully at this point I've said that enough times that it is permanently burned into your brain. So before meiosis can happen, interphase is going to happen, which means S phase is going to happen, which means the DNA is going to be duplicated, like I said before. So that's what you see at the end of step 1. So the blue chromosome from dad has his exact copy, and the red chromosome from mom has her exact copy. This is a homologous pair. This whole thing is a homologous pair. Okay? And then by meiosis 1, what's going to happen there is the chromosomes of the homologous pair are going to be separated into haploid daughter cells. And so at this point, you get one half from the mom, and then the half from the dad. So a lot of times at this point, students will always ask me, why is this haploid? Because to them, they look at this picture and they see 2 chromosomes, or 2 sister chromatids, and they think, that must be diploid, Miss Ringswald. Well, it's not diploid, it's haploid in this case, because technically we would only count this as 1, because it's only an identical copy. They are exact matches of each other. Same case here. It's only counted as 1 because it's literally giving you the exact same information. It would be like having like 2 copies of the textbook. No matter which textbook you pick up out of those 2 identical copies of the textbook, it's still just one textbook. You wouldn't call that like two different textbooks. I mean, technically it really is two different textbooks, but it's the exact same information. It's not like in those two textbooks, you're going to learn double the information. You're still only learning the information from one of those textbooks because they are identical. So that's why it's considered haploid at this stage, even though if you look at it, it looks like it wants to be diploid. It's because it's itself and its exact identical copy. And so that's by the end of meiosis 1. Now, meiosis 2 is what is going to separate the sister chromatids from each other so that each of the 4 daughter cells ends up having only one of the chromosomes from the homologous pair that we started with. So, chromatid 1, chromatid 2, chromatid 1, chromatid 2. So each of these has one full chromosome, and they are considered haploid. Okay, they are haploid. So at this point, once you get to the end of meiosis 2, if everything went well through all the prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase 1 and 2, if everything went well in that process, by the end of this, you're going to have these 4 haploid daughter cells that are genetically different from each other. And so right now, at this little picture that you're seeing, you might wonder, well, how is this guy different from this guy? How is that genetically different? Well, you have to remember, I'm only showing you what's happening with one chromosome. If I was showing you what was happening with all 23, if I showed you that, then you would see that they're all going to end up being genetically different. And you'll be able to see that better in the picture that I upload into OneNote of the hand-drawn with all 46 of the chromosomes in there. Yeah, so that's kind of an overview of what is going on in meiosis. So, pop quiz time. Obviously, just kidding. But I'm going to give you guys a second to see if you can figure this out on your own. So if you want to pause it real quick and see if you can fill it out on your own for fun, or if you want to be lazy, you can just keep playing it, and you'll see that if you stain a human cell and look at it under a microscope, and you see that there are 23 chromosomes in that cell, and one of those chromosomes is a Y chromosome, you can conclude that that cell must be a sperm cell, because it has the Y chromosome, and it has 23 chromosomes, so you know it's a gamete. And this sperm cell must have been taken from an organ called the testis. Technically, that is the singular version. If you were talking about both in the plural form, that would be testes. But testis is one. Also, side note, every year my students think that the testes is like a joke or like a shortened version of the word testicle. That is not true. That would be super weird if we took the word testicle and shortened it to testes. That makes me uncomfortable. I don't know if it makes you uncomfortable, but it makes me uncomfortable. That is not at all a shortened version of the word testicle. The testicle is going to contain the testis, but it also includes the scrotum that's going to cover the testis, and it also includes other structures that are inside as well. So again, the testy is the part that actually makes the sperm. The testicle is like what we would call the whole thing together. Including the scrotum or skin that covers the scrotal sac. So, yeah, not a short word. It's actually its own organ. So yeah, hope you enjoyed that fun little bit of the human reproductive system. So let's talk about meiosis for real. So these are kind of some overall things that we need to talk about. Meiosis, again, is going to produce haploid gametes in organisms that are diploid. So like you and I are diploid. All of our cells, our somatic cells, have 46 chromosomes. But we make haploid gametes that have 23 chromosomes. We make eggs. Males make sperm. Two haploid gametes come together in a process called fertilization, which restores the diploid state in the zygote. If it weren't for meiosis, each generation would have twice the amount of genetic information as the one before it, and that would get out of hand very quickly. Many stages of meiosis are going to look a lot like mitosis, and in fact, a lot of the same things are going to happen as they do in mitosis. However, duplication of the chromosomes is followed by 2 rounds of cell division in meiosis. You have both meiosis 1 and you have meiosis 2. Because there are these 2 rounds of cell division, instead of ending up with 2 daughter cells, you end up with 4 daughter cells, and they're going to be haploid instead of diploid like you get with mitosis. So in the next several slides, I'm going to be using the same picture. I've just kind of cropped the picture to only show you the phase that I'm trying to show you. So for this whole next few slides, we're going to assume that the diploid state is 6. So they're going to be showing us 6 chromosomes or 3 homologous pairs. Again, it's really hard to draw 46. But if you just draw 1, it doesn't really show you exactly what's going on. So 2n equals 6, small enough to fit in the picture, but not so many that you get overwhelmed. So the first step is going to be interphase, just like mitosis. But in the case of meiosis, there's only 1 round of interphase, not 2. So interphase is only going to occur in the very, very, very beginning. This is not something you need to know, but what I'm about to say is something that I think you'll find interesting, and I wish we had the time this school year to cover the reproductive system. It's one of my favorite ones to cover, but alas, the coronavirus has told us no. But if you like this kind of stuff, you should definitely take AP, because we do cover it in AP as well, and you are all smart enough to be in AP. So what I was going to say is, in females, once a month you get your period, right? That's because once a month you're going to have a set of cells that is going to, in your ovary, that is going to be told, okay, you are what's called a primordial egg cell, so it's not an egg cell yet, but it's called a primordial egg cell, and once a month the primordial egg cell gets told, hey, you need to undergo meiosis. We need to make an actual mature egg so that we can possibly be fertilized this month. And when you are finally finished making that mature egg, you will then undergo the next step of your reproductive cycle or your menstrual cycle, that is ovulation, which is when the ovary drops the egg into the fallopian tube to hopefully end up getting fertilized by a sperm if your body is lucky. But if it's not, then the lining and all the preparation that your body did to get ready for that fertilized egg is going to be shed because there is no baby there. And so that's when you have your period. So that was your very short glimpse at what's going on with your ovaries every single month. Some of those cells get told, hey, finish going through meiosis. In fact, your cells have already gone through some of the steps of meiosis 1, and they're kind of just stuck. They're just being kind of held up, waiting for a signal from a hormone to say, all right, finish up meiosis so that we can have a mature egg, so that we can ovulate, so that we can make a baby this month. And you're also born with all of the potential egg cells that you were ever going to have. And you have many, like thousands, like tens of thousands. If I remember correctly, it's something like 32,000 potential egg cells in one ovary. So that's like 64,000 total. You don't have that many periods. And you only go through one of those cells, maybe 2, a month for your whole time that you have your period. So really, you have way more than enough. But technically, when your mom was pregnant with you, she was also pregnant with all of her potential grandchildren, and I think that is really cute. So I'm kind of done rambling now, and I see that I have like 15 seconds left in my video. But I'll just continue talking about this slide in the next one, but I thought it would be nice for you guys to get a touch of reproduction in there, because you're not going to get it later, unfortunately.